All right, good morning, my vixens. How is everybody? I wanted to do this video because during my last video, right in the middle of trying to show you how I do my eyes, my video completely cut out. So in my comments, if you read it, I promised that I would come back and do a video and just show you how I do my eyes. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable on my bench here. So I went in and I already, have really basically my makeup done. I just don't have my eyes done and the lips on and stuff. So that's what this video is going to be. I'm just going to show you, relatively quickly here. I'm trying to get ready to go to church. So I am going to try to go as quickly as I can, but, basically showing you how I do, trying to find like your crease. And if you have a hooded eye, this will be a really, really easy way for you to, find the crease and do your eyes and make them look nice. So you can do this and make a dramatic look, or you can just, have an easy look during the day. So let me try to kind of pull my hair back here without messing it up too much. So again, like I said, I already have my foundation on and my primer and all that. So a lot of people like to use an eye primer, and you can use whatever you feel comfortable with. I like to use a white pencil. Now, it's not a shimmer pencil, it's a matte pencil. It's really, really creamy. And one of the things I want to tell you about some pencils, and like I said, I'm trying to go really quickly. I am going to try to make a couple more videos later on today, and I want to talk about pencils, and I'm going to do some looks for holiday eyes. But when you're choosing a pencil, one of the things you want to do, if you're choosing something for your eyes, you want to try to find something that says crayon, because it's going to be softer. If you choose one and it says pencil, it's generally going to be a firmer, harder type of a pencil. And I usually choose those when I'm doing like my lip liners, because they hold up better. And when I'm doing a lip liner, I want it to be more firm, and it'll give you better coverage. But when I'm doing anything with my eyes, I want soft. I don't want anything that's going to pull and tug. So I try to look for something that says crayon. So just, that's just a little tip for you. Whenever I find these white, jumbo crayons, I tell you that normally I find them in the dollar store. Rarely do I find them, in any of the Walmarts or anything like that. But when I do find them, I buy them, try to get them like 2 at a time, because they are hard to find in the matte look. But anyway, this is how I do it, and I just kind of go on my eye with them, and I go clear up to the brow bone, and then I'll blend this in. And the reason that I like to do this is because no matter what color shadow that you use, this will make it pop for sure. And because you're going to use the white underneath, if you don't want to go with a highlight underneath your brow bone, you don't even have to, because that white's going to be there. And I like to go right underneath, because I always put a little bit of eye product right there, so it's going to help, pop that little bit of eyeshadow right under there too. Now, I'm getting ready to go to church, so I'm not going to do this, but normally if I was going to go somewhere and I really, wanted to have like a nice dramatic eye, I would take this and I would line the inside of my, water line there. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I'm getting ready to go to church, so I don't want that look for today. So I'm just going to take my ring finger and just very lightly blend this in. And I always try to be careful that I don't get it up in my eyebrows because I've already done my eyebrows for today. For the moment anyway. Remember, whenever you're using your fingers to blend anything, try to use as little pressure as possible. We don't realize when we're using our hands on our face how much pressure we really are putting on, you know, especially the eye area. And I got a little bit in my eyebrows, so I'm going to have to try to blend that carefully. I'm going to have a white eyebrow and look like a weirdo. So again, you know, I've said this before, I say it in all my videos. If you're using your fingers, always use your ring finger. It's the one that has the least amount of pressure. You want to try to do as little damage as possible to your eye area. Time and gravity alone will take care of that. Okay, so that's blended in. I'm just gonna grab a Q-tip right here and try to get this little spot in my eyebrow that I got a little bit of a white mark in. I already combed through my eyelashes once, but I'm just going to go ahead and, for the sake of this video, show you that before you start with your eyeshadow, just comb out your eyelashes. And then I always go ahead and curl them. And I almost just lost my little basket there. So when you curl your eyelashes, try to get right down to the base. And I like to just put a little bit of pressure and then let off and just kind of give a couple good squeezes. You want to get as close to the base of your eyelashes as you possibly can. And I always make sure that I wipe my eyelash curler off. And then if your eyelashes are a little out of place, just gently comb them back into place. Okay, so I'm wearing a shirt today that has like a little bit of a sparkle to it. It's kind of like a, it's like a grayish, brownish color, if that's possible. But anyway, I'm gonna use like kind of a neutral palette today with just a little bit of shimmer, very small amount of shimmer on my eyelid. But again, like I tell you all the time, you know, you can't just start out with the, you know, a dark color and slap it on your eye. It's not going to work. It's not going to look right. And I say this all the time in my videos. It's just, think of someone who's a painter, or if you've ever seen anything, even on TV, about someone who's painting. When they start out with their canvas, they don't just, you know, paint the tree or the skyline and just slap the first color on. First thing they do is they paint, you know, a base coat, and they start to build things up. And that's the same thing we need to do, you know, with our makeup. You have to start off and build things up. So with our eyes, we need to build definition. If you have a hooded eye, let me get a brush here, just try to show you what I mean. If you have a hooded eye, now I've been using a serum on my eyes, which has been working miracles for me. And I've been drinking a lot of fluids, and trying to sleep a little bit better, and that makes a difference. But normally, if you have a hooded eye, you're not going to see a whole lot of the lid here. This part right here is going to have fallen down and cover up like your mobile lid. This is called the mobile lid. This is your eye socket, and this starts where your brow bone is. So if you have a hooded eye, you're not going to see a whole lot of your eyelid, and that's, you know, where your color of your eyeshadow is going to go. So you have to create some definition there and kind of fool and make the illusion that you do still have the lid. Now, you can see some of my lids, you know, so it's going to, you know, be a little bit harder for me to explain to you, but I think, you know, it's still going to work. A lot of videos that you'll see the girls, they'll take a more fluffy type of brush like this, you know, and they actually start in the crease, and they do this windshield wiper motion like right here, and they just, you know, start in the crease. But if you have a hooded eye, it's hard to find your crease. It's much harder to find your crease. Now I could probably go ahead and start in my crease, and you know, I can see my crease, and I could start and I could do that. But you know, I'm trying to show you this video, and what I want to do is show you a super easy way to do your eyes and get you that definition. So what I do, for me, I think this is such an easier way than starting in the crease. I start with my lid, but I don't use a fluffy brush. I don't feel that when you're doing this that you'll have as much control, but I do use a fluffy brush, but I use it for blending. So what you're going to need is you're going to need some flat brushes. So I use a brush that kind of looks like this. It's more of a flat brush. You could also use one that looks like this. They work really well too. So I'll use a combination of these couple brushes, and we'll get to work. And so I'm gonna grab a couple of those, and I'm gonna grab a couple of the fluffy brushes, because you know we're gonna blend the crap out of, you know, everything that we do. All right, so I've picked a couple shades, and another thing that it's vitally important that you don't use a shimmer. At the very end, I will put a little bit of shimmer on my lid, and that's it, just to bring it forward and kind of like pop the eye a little bit at the end. But I want to make the definition and show you the lid. So what I need to do is, you need to use a matte eyeshadow. We want to bring the crease, you know, and define it. All right, so I'm going to get the flat brush, and I'm going to get I'm going to show you the palette that I'm going to start with. Take out the brush so I don't lose it. Okay, so I'm going to start with this palette, and you can use any neutral palette, you know, any colors that you want, and you just want to start. You know, for me, I'm going to start I think with this color right here, and then as I build, I'm going to go to, like, you know, the next darkest color. I might use this one, and I'm going to like build it up. Okay, so I'm going to use this flat brush, and I'm going to put color on both sides of the brush, and then I'm going to tap off the excess so I don't have a lot of fallout. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to just pat the shadow on the lid, and we're going to stay right underneath that brow bone, right into where your eye socket sits. So if you have a hooded eye and you're like, well, I don't know where I don't see you yet, I don't know where my brow bone is. Before you start, just take your finger and feel your eye, and you will feel the eye socket. You know, take your finger, you know, and feel your eye socket. And if you have to, take one of your pencils, take one of, the lightest pencil that you have, and draw a couple dots. Take the pencil and make a couple dots so that you can see where your eye socket is, and then stay within that area. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit more color, tap off the excess. And again, so I'm trying to look in my mirror and make sure that you guys can still see what I'm doing. And I'm just staying right within, underneath the eye socket. And then I'm going to flip the brush over so I can get color from the other side. Okay, so when I look in the mirror, you can see the difference on the eye already. This eye looks much more opened up than this one. Okay, so let me speed it up and get this eye to match. And then we'll get to the next step. And don't worry if you think, well, I want to wear a lighter shade eyeshadow. It's fine. I've had a lot of people tell me, well, you're putting a darker shade on your lid. How's that lighter, shade going to cover it up? It will. It really will. Don't even stress about it. So I'm just staying right into the eye, right in that eye socket area. I'm not going to go above that yet. I'm just going to, this is my first color that I'm laying down in the definition here. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to pick up a little bit of a darker next color in the palette. I'm going to use the same brush. Okay, and I'm just going to go to the next darkest color. And sometimes I have two palettes that are very similar. And sometimes I feel like if the first palette doesn't have enough of a darker color, I'll go to the next one and I will pick up a darker color from the next palette. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the next palette, and pick up a little bit of an even darker color. Now, what I'm going to do for this step is I'm going to go just a little bit onto the brow bone with this next darkest color. So I'm just going on to the brow bone. Not clear up to the top. I'm just bringing it up to the brow bone. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the next eye. And you can already see like how that's really opened up my eye now. Okay, so same thing on this side. I'm just going to go right onto the brow bone. And you don't have to go, clear over here. Just stay right where you feel that brow bone starting to begin. Stay right there. And because this brush is flat and curved, it should let you stay right in that area. If you were using this big fluffy brush, You see how that's going to like take you way up further? But when we come in with this brush, it's the same shape. So it stays right on that brow bone. I'm just going to kind of sweep this on a little bit. All right, now I'm going to grab the blending brush and I'm just going to blend it, and I'm going to kind of blend up a little bit. I'm going to go in and up a little bit. When you're doing your eyeshadow, you just don't want any harsh edges. Okay, and we're going to blend the lid out. Now, you could put a little bit of shimmer right there, and you could totally leave it at that. Put some eyeliner and some mascara on, and it could be your look for the day. You know, you could just kind of like maybe just darken just that up a little bit, and it could just, that could be it for the day. You know, because that totally gave you a little bit of definition, opened your eye up, and that could be all you really needed. In between each eye, I'm taking my blending brush and just kind of wiping it off a little bit. Remember, like, the whole idea of putting on the eyeshadow and blending it is, you know, you want this to look as natural as possible. We're trying to give the illusion of opening, you know, making your eye look open. You know, this look is to find the crease, and if you have a hooded eye, to open the eye up. So you can see that already that, you know, if you had a hooded eye, that would have opened your eye up much. All right, so I'm gonna grab an even darker color now, and I'm gonna go and do this, what's called the inner V. So I'm gonna grab a much darker color. Now, when you are doing the inner V, I find for myself, when I use one of these very small brushes, I think that it's so much easier, and I have a much more control when I use these. If you're able to use, you know, the bigger, flatter brush and do that, then that's great. But for me, this is just what I like to do, and it just seems to give me a lot more control. So I'm just gonna go and just kind of go right here on this inner V, and I'm gonna just darken this in. And this, you know, this doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to blend this. Don't worry if you're like, oh no, I never get mine perfect either. Thank goodness for blending brushes. No, I like to just get that little bit right there. But really what, you know, what we're looking for is just this outer V. And you want to make sure that you're not bringing this down, because if your eye has dropped, you know, you don't. I got like a smudge there I'm gonna have to clean up because I closed my eye, moved my eye. That's okay, that'll be a good way to show you how to fix that if that happens. So I just thickened the liner just a little bit. I'm going to take a blending brush and I'm going to blend this a little bit. I'm going to use this type of a brush. It's kind of an angled brush, but it's flat. And I'm just going to, do these bottom lashes. I'm just going to I'm just pulling the eyeliner down a little bit and smudging it. You could do this with a Q-tip also. I don't like to use a Q-tip just for the simple fact that I always get the Q-tip and I always get the cotton in my eye. It never fails, so I've just learned, and you can see the difference from the, you know, this eye just looks a lot more smoky and so you need a really soft crayon type of an eyeliner when you do this. harder to do when you get down into the corner here. Just do the best you can, and if you get a smudge that you're not happy with, I have some Q-tips that are like a pointed end Q-tip, and I will use those and clean up any smudges that I get. Okay, so now we can curl our eyelashes and put on our mascara. I'm going to use a base coat, and then I'm going to use a fiber lash mascara. So this is just a base coat. This is, I'm going to grab L'Oreal. This is a L'Oreal. And the brush to this is so nice. And of course I got it on my eye.